Krishna Memani. That speech from the president next week, Krishna, what are you looking for?
Well, I think some color on trade and aspirations with respect to trade would be good. And I think it's basically articulating his agenda for the next year in some form or the other for his re-election bid.
Sam?
I mean, just calming and easing for the market.
Do we need to get a resolution on the trade agreement? Do we need to hear from the president next week that we're actually going to get a phase one deal?
I don't think the word resolution, it means different things to different people, right? And I think we're all just hoping for easier conditions with respect to trade and trade hurting growth and sentiment.
Robert Tipp?
I think he has to keep it going. I think he has to keep the tensions going all the way through the election.
You really think that?
Yeah, I think otherwise, he will be criticized for being too easy, for caving before we got to the hard stuff.
The reason I asked, Robert, is because there's many people that think this president needs a deal to go into 2020 with, to run on an election campaign with this just in the background and focus on having a good economy.
I think they need to kind of take the trade issue off the table. They don't have to solve everything, and it is very unlikely that they will solve. Even if they do get a phase one deal, it's really about rolling back tariffs and allowing issues to kind of die down. The real crux of the trade issue doesn't get resolved anytime soon, and that'll continue for 10 more years, and we'll be talking about it for 10 more years.
What do you say back to that, Robert?
I agree. I mean, I think they could paper over some differences and small parts and what have you. But I mean, we've seen a lot of back and forth. We've seen things come on, go off, get delayed, be pulled back forward. So I don't know. I think really the underlying substance of what's going on in the economy and the fundamentals are a lot more of a driver than what people realize.
That's a big speech to watch next week. Could we say it's a Federal Reserve success that there isn't much suspense around a Fed chair speech next week? Is that job well done for the Federal Reserve?
It's progress, right? You go back to January and we were all confused. There was a lack of cohesion coming from the Fed. Fast forward 9 months, I would say we're in a much better place. I know the futures market is still pricing in 30 bips of easing, and I get that. I don't believe the futures market, but the Fed is making it clear to us that they're on pause, and we all seem to be okay with that.
Krishna?
Well, so do you remember the mid-cycle adjustment?
I do, yeah.
So how to shoot yourself in the foot while you're trying to do good. But I think Jay Powell has learned a lot, and I think the comments that he made in his press conference is really the most significant set of comments that have been made by a Fed chair in a while. Now, we wouldn't even consider raising rates until we see persistent inflation, which is never.